Let me show you all these before we get going. I don't get paid to talk about these. I just really like them because I lost another pair of clippers. I lose my little hand pruners all the time. I'll leave them in the garden, find them a couple months later. I'll leave them somewhere in the house. I've found them in my car. I find them in the kitchen. There's no telling where the last pair went. My best guess is somewhere in the pasture, but these are the ones that I like. Solid steel, really, really durable. I can forget these in the garden for like months. Find them, pick right back up, use them. There's no plastic parts to crack. You know how when you get those clippers where there's plastic components to it and they swell or crack or whatever? There's none of that with these. We have several very fun projects to do today. We're going to collect some seed, we're going to plant some perennials, and the weather is gorgeous. Typical Texas. There was a frost Sunday night going into Monday. Monday was very chilly. This weekend the high is like close to 90, which I love. I love to be warm. I don't like any of that cold crap. So today is a perfect gardening day. Nice little breeze, beautiful. But before we get started on any of those things, let's check in on that little wildlife pond thing that we made in the last video. We'll take a look at how it's doing. It's been exactly a week since we made it. Here we are. And a few things that I did after the conclusion of the video, the dogs kind of like the dogs were super interested in this, obviously, when it was done, especially my puppy. She's drinking out of it and also like using her hand, I don't know, exploring, just being a Dora the Explorer basically. So I came in here and rearranged some things. I cut those Japanese iris back a little bit and I just rearranged the plants slightly, brought the sedge a little bit more forward. That's doing great, and the water has cleared up and everything's looking very, very healthy. Very healthy. And the birds have been just absolutely obsessing over it. The bluebirds make a big ring around here, and I can see this perfectly from the dining room. So I am absolutely loving it so far. So many things in this flower bed are still going strong, but our blue vinca bit it. Look at this lavender. Absolutely stunning. Still just churning out blooms. This is a super blue lavender, and it is just, as I brush over the foliage, it's just the most incredible smell. It smells so good. It smells so good. Our vinca bit it. Our rosemary is doing good, obviously. That's a hardy hill, so it's going to take much more than 32 degrees to knock that out. I think it's like a zone 6. Our bulbine didn't mind at all, which really kind of surprised me. But look, these were all double raspberry ripple zinnias, and they did not fare well in the freeze. One of the things that we have really got to get a handle on today are all of these propagations that I worked on or started or messed with, fiddled with. My problem is I fiddle with propagations year round. And so this time of year, my plant tables are just cluttered with little experiments that I have done. And it's time for them to go in the ground, because a lot of these I don't want to have to mess with through the winter, protecting them, taking them in, taking them out of the shed and things like that. There are some over here that are going to be better off in the ground than trying to be overwintered, and they're tough enough to just get thrown in the ground and just go for it this winter. So let's take a look at a couple of those, especially as Caryopteris, like they have to get planted. They've been little baby Caryopteris in their pots, little baby props, for probably like 8 months at this point. All of these Maximilian sunflowers, they want to be out of these little containers so bad. All of these have rooted. They need to be potted up. And I think actually while we're at it, oh crap, put my little autumn fern. Well, what was an autumn? Oh, it's fine. My autumn fern, which I got off the clearance rack at HEB. See? So it has seen better days, but it will be completely fine. I think I'll put these Mistflower out in that flower bed while we're out there also. Those right there. All these Caryopteris are a great example. Let's do 3. See what I mean by like they have got to, you can see the roots coming out of the bottom. They need to go. They need to go do something in the ground. Get our shovel. I also organized all my pots the other day. I'm really proud of myself. I think that's good. We're gonna have, these are gonna be blue, gorgeous, bright blue color, fuzzy. These are yellow. These are both South Africa roses. We planted those a couple of videos ago. So we'll have yellow right here. And then the pink of the Veronica, sold. As I plant these Caryopteris, which by the way, these are, maybe I didn't give you a good close-up. Here. You don't see this? Do you see the way it's laying down in the pot like that? That's because this is from a Caryopteris that I used to have. I took it apart and took it out in a video with y'all, but the Caryopteris had laid several branches down and sent roots down into the ground from where it had lain down and made contact with the soil. So these bloomed this year and they've been in their pots like this. I just kind of popped those up out of the soil with the roots intact, put them in a pot with some potting soil, and here they have been all year, and now they're ready to go in the ground. Caryopteris are extremely cold tolerant. They will be just fine going in the ground. Oh, look at all the spiders. How cool. Oh, look at my arm. Look at my arm. Can y'all see those? Oh my gosh, I feel awful. Are those spiders? Oh no, they're little ants. Oh, it has ants inside it. Oh, how interesting. Let me try to get them off. Pop. They're so tiny. I thought that I had maybe disturbed like a little spider nest. Oh man, I feel bad now. But anyway, you can see them all inside that pot. Obviously the Caryopteris didn't mind whatsoever, but I do feel kind of bad that I disturbed them. Anyway, the Caryopteris has just been sitting in its little pot like this, and now that it's ready to go in the ground, it will just take off and bloom next year. But you can, that's why it looks weird like that. I didn't buy it from the nursery like that. These are my own propagations. I'll try to allow as many of them to leave as I can before I put it in the ground. I feel really bad to put it in the ground when it's full of ants. Maybe if I break some of the soil off, the ants will go with it and we won't having to be burying them. All right, maybe they'll make a different home in here. Let's get this planted. I get asked about common garden quote-unquote pests a lot. The last video that I made with y'all about the tiny pond got some questions about mosquitoes and whether mosquitoes are an issue for us. They're not. I can almost guarantee you that surrounding me and surrounding this property, there's more standing and stagnant water than there probably is in any one single neighborhood, right? Like it's not, there's a pond in the pasture full of standing water. There's troughs that water animals all around us and all on the property. But there's also a ton, and I mean a ton, of martin and dragonfly and toad and frog activity in this garden. And that's because I don't do any kind of pesticide spraying. I leave martin nests exactly where they are on the porch. They do all over the porch every single year. Not worried about it. I will not allow anyone to come and knock them down or even disturb them when they are nesting on the front porch during nesting season. Birds remember stuff like that. That's scientifically proven. They have generational nesting sites and nesting preferences that they'll return to year after year if the conditions are good. And guess what they eat? They eat mosquitoes. I don't personally think, and look, I'm not a biologist, okay? I'm just a gardener, but I don't think you can spray your way out of a mosquito problem. I think that you have to support the predator of the mosquito in order to get ahead of that problem. So that's what I choose to focus on every year, is just being as inviting as possible. That one has ants too. I try to be as inviting as possible to absolutely everything that could possibly want to live here. And that means being 100% chemical free. And I know that that's hard for people to really get on board with, especially the first year they do it, because they see so many bugs and so many things eating on their plants. And oh, my plant is getting its leaves chewed on, and there's spiders everywhere, and there's, you know, none of that stuff really matters. And if things do chew on your plants, it's usually temporary. The plants usually recover completely fine if your garden's in balance. Something will come along and eat that thing. Something will take care of that problem for you. There's no need to be down in the weeds about every single bug that comes to your garden. Crap. This is full of ants. Full of ants. Look at this. Can y'all see that? Oh, man. These are not fire ants, though. They're little tiny brown ants. And I have completely just ruined their day. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the plant in the hole, and I'm gonna put the soil right next to it in its pot. I'm gonna put the soil right next to it right here. And I'm gonna come back probably tomorrow and plant this, and maybe they will have had time to move on. I would feel bad if I just buried it and buried all that. Buried all the ants alive. That's not very nice. But this one's completely fine. There's no ants in that. While we're at it, let's go ahead and take care of these. These are Gregg's Mistflower cuttings that I just have not done anything with since I did them. It's been several weeks, but I think that this will look good because these are blue, like a light blue, almost like a periwinkle. And I think in front of this pink color, that's going to be really pretty. These are just little plugs. Gregg's Mistflower is so incredibly easy to propagate and divide, and once you have one plant of it, you can have it wherever you want and as thickly as you want, and you can either do that by dividing it or by transplanting it, or dividing it or taking cuttings. I mean, like, you can get in there with a shovel and just take big chunks out of it and move it all around the garden wherever you want. Full sun, part sun, dry spot, consistently moist spot, standing water, probably not, but I do find that it blooms more, as most things will, with a little bit more consistent water. Look how, oh man, these poor things. They've been in there for so long. I won't even need a shovel for this. I can just pop them in. And done. I'll come in and water all this in later, but there's all of our little Mistflower in the ground, all tucked in. And we're supposed to get some rain, so that should help too. And now that we have accomplished all of our planting projects for the day, oh, the sun is coming out, we are free to go collect some seed. Okay, first we need to label our seed packets, otherwise this is gonna get very chaotic very quick. So I order these little seed collecting packets from Amazon. And they're just small enough, like you could use a bank envelope, but I don't want 50 bank envelopes in the fridge, because that's where all these are gonna go for now, is just in the fridge. So that's where I store all of my seeds. And I think that the things that we're gonna do today are, I'm gonna leave, I think I'll do 2 for Dahlia, because I actually do want to get a fair bit of that. We're going to experiment with some Zinnia seed. I'd like to get some rock rose seed. Just for funsies. And we're gonna try Fragrant Mistflower from seed. I normally just do cuttings of that and it works super well, but I'm a big time believer in experimenting and I just like to have fun with seed, so we're gonna collect some of that seed too. Let's get started with dahlia seeds. The little seedling dahlias that I got this year were so much fun. They were so beautiful. They were huge, huge pollinator attractors, and they were very surprising. I found this year that the tuber dahlias that you can buy at like Home Depot or you can buy online, those bore me to tears. I don't want anything to do with them, I don't think, ever again. I would rather do them from seed because every time a new dahlia seedling comes up, it is going to be a surprise. It's probably not going to look like the one that came before it out of the same seed packet, and they make dahlia seed mixes. That's what I bought. I got watercolor and I got an unwinds mix, and they were both fantastic. I direct sowed them after the last frost. Well, sort of after the last frost. They did get bit by one final frost after they came up, which was my bad, but they were so fun, and I really enjoyed all the unpredictability. These are not, by the way, probably a good choice if you sell your dahlias. They didn't do fantastic in a vase, and I've been told that the blown open dahlias, like how I like to grow, like I just described to you, they're more open, they're flat. The center of the bloom is completely exposed. While that is very exciting for pollinators, I've been told that that's not very exciting for florists, and they don't like that. They like the ball dahlia, they like the double, they like a big, fancy looking flower, which are not these, but we are gonna collect the seed from the dahlia. Okay, it's very windy today, y'all, so I'm gonna do my best. I just like crazy gusts of wind coming through the property today. So this is the stage at which you wanna snag your dahlia blooms for collecting the seed. It's brown, it's crusty, it's dry feeling, and it's starting to blow open like that. That's when we know that we're gonna get some good seed. If it's still kind of like watery and squishy, I think you would just have to let it dry out. So the thing that I'm gonna do today is target these ones, because these are the ones I typically go for that are already dried out on the plant itself. So what you're gonna do is just gently tease that open with your thumb, and inside here are gonna be all my seeds. There they are. Hold on. Do you see this? This is the seed. This is the seed. This is a seed. Okay? And as I do that, more seed will come out. But that's an old petal, and this is a dahlia seed. It almost reminds me of like an old arrowhead, you know? That's our dahlia seed. So we're gonna do that several times with several blooms and try to just pick our seed out. It's okay if you get chaff in there, that's not that big of a deal. And we'll get our little seeds out and put them in our dahlia packet, like that. Let's take a look at our zinnia seeds next. So this is a row of zinnias that I had that these are all gonna be cross-pollinated in much the same way that our dahlias were, okay? We're not gonna get the exact same zinnia from this exact bloom, but I do just wanna collect some because I like to experiment. I think it's gonna be fun to see what comes up. So as we pop off, this is a spent zinnia bloom. As we pop off this old zinnia bloom and start to pull these dried out petals away from the base of the bloom, do you see these little arrowhead looking things that are emerging? Those are all seed. All those are seed. And if you just kind of gently pull on them, you can separate them from where they're being still held onto by the dried up petals. And we'll add them into our zinnia bag. I'll be really interested to see what these look like. The reason that I'm over here messing with these is because this was a row of, they were cactus type zinnias, and I'll be really interested to see whether they reproduce that same cactus type characteristic next year. Okay, let's tackle these last two. And these are both natives, so if you have these growing in your garden or you know somebody that has these plants and you want them, I put a picture of the Fragrant Mistflower right now. And now I'll put a picture of rock rose. So if you have anybody that has these are how you can get seed from them. Or if you can just send them this video, hey, this is how you collect seed, and they can give you these, and then you can start them from seed yourself. These are all rock rose that I'm not ready to plant where I have them in mind. Like, I have a place in mind for them to go, but I'm not ready to plant them. So they've just been blooming in their pots all year. This is what a rock rose bloom looks like. Isn't that stunning? I love that hot pink color. Absolutely love it. Gorgeous. And this is a native, very, very good for dry, rocky, harsh soils, full sun. But as you can see, it's been blooming and setting little seed pods all over the place. So all we're gonna do, I'm gonna pop this off, and be careful when you're doing this because I can feel that in my hand all the seeds have already come out. But let me set y'all down so I can show you what it is like here. So do you see them? They fell out in my hand from the old bloom, just like this. And we'll store those in paper just like all of our other seeds. Okay, last thing, y'all. I brought you over to the Fragrant Mistflower so that we can get some seed off of that. And a lot of these seed heads are not mature. If you see these still kind of brown colored ones, those aren't ready to go yet. You're gonna wanna get the ones that have entered like a puffball stage, right? That are, like we just talked about, they look like they could fall off the plant at any second. Here's a good example of one. Do you see how it's just kind of falling apart as I hold it? And all these little guys are coming away. And what we're looking for is the thing that looks like it has a parachute. That's the Mistflower seed that I want. And in this case, because like I said, it's so windy, I'll probably come back and do this on another day and get all these guys into the bag. But it's also okay if you just get some chaff in the bag also. Like, it's paper, it's gonna breathe, it's gonna be fine. Ideally, would you let it all dry out and then pick every single little umbrella guy off? Yeah, but in our case, we're just gonna go ahead and put them in the bag. And like I just said, taking cuttings from Mistflower is, in my opinion, the easiest way to get more of it. It propagates extremely well by cuttings, extremely well. But I would like to experiment with the seed, personally. Just see what happens. See what happens. One last look at Beverly. She is truly just such a spectacular rose. But I think she's about done for the year. And I'll see y'all next time. Thank you for watching.